What is going on, people? Mr. King of World here, playing some team deathmatch this time on Guilin Peaks from the China Rising DLC, and I'll be running support with the MG4 and Airburst. And that guy looked like he was invisible there for a second. The reason I'm using Airburst is because, in my personal opinion, there's not a lot of support gadgets that are meant for infantry on infantry combat. And this has been like this for many Battlefield games. It just seems that there's not that much going on in terms of taking on infantry. Usually you think support, you think, C4, maybe somebody throws down a mortar every now and then, but and C4 can certainly be effective, not exactly practical for infantry combat, but if you see, and there you see just how powerful Airburst is. That guy gets me down to about 4% health there as I'm hiding in this little corner. And yeah, if you watch my video that I posted about 2 weeks ago called My C4 Story, you'll see exactly how lethal C4 can be on infantry, but it's not really practical in most situations. That was a certain special situation where I'm hiding in a room and guarding an MCOM, playing some rush, and people had no choice but to come in the doorways. But that's a different story. I'll try to push the link in the description if I remember. But and there's always like people laying down up there in that little cubby hole, and Airburst took them right out. I didn't even have to see anybody. I didn't even know for sure that they were there, but Airburst gets the job done. Airburst very lethal against infantry if you know how to use it. It's not always something that you can just spam. There's a certain way that you have to use it. Basically, you have to, if they're on rooftops or something like that, if you know that they're near the edge, you can lock onto the side of the rooftop, the corner, and then just look up a little bit, and it'll explode above their head. But I'm using this little hill here for coverage, and I'm getting really good coverage. It's actually working out pretty well, pretty effectively for me in this particular case. Now, the MG4 is not my favorite LMG, although it was widely considered one of the best LMGs in the game, maybe even the best, at least until the AWS came along with Naval Strike. But I never really cared for the MG4, and I tried using it. Back when Battlefield first came out, everybody was talking about how great the MG4 was. I used it, and I was not impressed at all with the tap fire, even with the stubby grip on there. It just seemed that there's a little too much recoil when tap firing. However, I recently went back to the MG4 after I, got all my kills that I needed with my AWS and unlocked everything for it, and yeah, that was all kinds of guys coming at me there. So I recently went back to the MG4 to give it another shot, and I decided to use it differently. See, my favorite, LMG is the AWS, obviously, but probably a close second, believe it or not, is probably the Type 88, which is horrible in Battlefield 3, but I actually like it in Battlefield 4. And trying to play a little peekaboo with this guy. He's coming around, I'm coming around. Throw a grenade right at his face, and yeah, I got him. But Type 88, I think, responds better to tap fire than the MG4. So what I recently did was I decided, instead of tap firing, I'm going to start burst firing at most ranges. And it seems to be working out pretty well for me. Burst fire, for me, and if you don't know the difference, burst fire is more 5 or 6 round bursts as opposed to tap fire where you shoot maybe 1 or 2 bullets at a time. Which is what I usually do for LMGs, pretty much any LMG. But burst fire works better for me for the MG4, and it's actually pretty effective, and I'm really enjoying using it now that I've started burst firing. And you'll see, you may have noticed already, when I spawn, I have a laser sight on, but I don't want a laser sight on here. The only reason I have it on is because I keep forgetting to take it off. But usually what happens in this match anyway is as soon as I spawn in, I just turn the laser sight off. Because I'm using a suppressor. And a suppressor is very, very important in this particular map, more so than maybe just about any other map in the game, in my opinion. There's so many. First of all, most of the map is dark. There's lots of little nooks and crannies that you can hide in. And if you don't have a suppressor on, you're pretty much screwed. I feel that a suppressor in this map is very, very effective. And I generally don't really like suppressors, although I've been trying to get into them. But in this map in particular, it doesn't matter what gun I'm using. Even if I'm using something like an AEK, I'm going to have a suppressor on it. If you can stay off the minimap in this map, then you have it made. Because there's just so many places to hide, and lots of flank routes, and it's very important, in my opinion. There you see a double airburst kill. Airburst, see, that's something. Now I can't hit these guys with my MG4 from that range. That's where the airburst comes into play at. So yeah, you need a suppressor if you're playing this map. Doesn't matter what gun you use, put a suppressor on. And you know, like I said, I have the laser sight, but then as soon as I spawn in, I try to remember to turn the laser sight off. Only because I keep forgetting to take it off. So I just spawn in and just turn it off because I don't want to give away my position. And LMGs in general in Battlefield 4 are not very good at hipfire at all. For whatever reason. I've already mag dumped 200 rounds in some guy's back with hipfire and didn't even get a kill on him. So it's certainly not a useful thing. I try not to hipfire from any range with LMGs. And here there's all kinds of guys down there. Alright. They know I'm here. I know they're there. I'm kind of cornering behind this bush. I'm going to shoot some... don't get any kills there, but I scare them. Get them on their toes. They're hopping around. Try to get a few more. There's a kill. And here's where the 200 round mag comes into play. Now I'm tap firing, I'm burst firing down there. I'm trying to spot people while I'm doing it, so there's all kinds of red dots all on my screen. And I'm literally just laying out every son of a bitch down there. As you tend to do when you have an LMG and you're looking down any kind of corridor where guys are just standing down there holding hands together. And that is it. That's that. MG4 with a suppressor, very effective in Guilin Peaks. You have those long corridors where there's always a big group of guys spawning on one side of the map, and if you can get in there behind them with 200 rounds in your mag, you can probably lay them all out, especially with a suppressor, before they even know what the hell is going on. So this has been Mr. King of World. I want to thank you for watching 21-4. It's been real and it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun, people. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Thank you. It's a wrap.